Welcome back to GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. Today is Monday, March 31st, if you are just tuning in. We just finished going over the Aaron Rodgers updates. The saga continues. We'll keep you updated on that. In this segment, we turn our attention over to hockey. Much like the NBA, less than 10 games to go. We're going to do a little bit of a check-in right before the playoffs start. 3 teams have clinched. We'll talk about that in a second. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net. Or if you're on YouTube, you can use that super chat feature. If you do either of those two things, a message should pop up on the bottom of the screen for you, me, and everybody else around the world to see. If you do have a burning question about sports, anything at all that you would like to ask, go ahead and throw that in the comments. Throw it in the chat. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. I appreciate everybody so much for sticking around, talking some sports with me here on a beautiful Monday, March 31st. But like I was saying, we are going to get a little bit into the NHL. The season is wrapping up, and the Stanley Cup, you can see it right around the corner. It's coming. Who's going to win? Who's going to make it? Let's talk about where the standings are right now. First of all, before we get to the playoff races, let's talk about the President's Trophy. The trophy for the best team in the NHL has come down really to a 3-horse race. There's still technically 4 teams in it, if I had to do a little bit of math there. The Winnipeg Jets, though, have reclaimed the top of that list, passing up the Washington Capitals. 106 points for them over 74 games. The Capitals, the Stars, and the Knights all have played 73 games, so they all have a game at hand. We can all theoretically bump them up 2 points. We're not going to do that, but they're still in it there because of that. The Capitals, 3 points back of them at 73 games played, 103 points for them. The Dallas Stars, 73 games played, 100 points for them. And then the Vegas Golden Knights, 98 points in 73 games for them. This is a 4-horse race. Really, it's come down to about a 3-horse race, although the Knights very much still in it there. It's going to be an absolute incredible finish. 4 teams in the President's Trophy race. You don't usually see that. Generally, it's locked up a lot of times at this point with a very dominant team, but we definitely don't have that this year. It's going to be a race to the finish for these teams, including Alex Ovechkin, who's just 5 goals away now from breaking Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. 9 games to go, 5 goals to score. It's very possible he gets it done this season, which would be absolutely insane, especially after he missed 20 games with a broken leg earlier this season. He's just a beast. But getting to the division races here as we take a look at the playoffs, again, just a reminder how the hockey playoffs work. The top 3 from each division make it. There's 4 divisions, 2 in each conference, Eastern and Western Conference, and then wild cards, 2 wild cards from each conference. So we're going to start off with the division races, then get to the wild card races. In the Eastern Conference, the 2 divisions, the Atlantic and the Metropolitan. We're going to start off with the Atlantic. The 3 teams have basically locked it up at this point. The Toronto Maple Leafs sit at the top of the division right now with 94 points through 74 games played. They're led, of course, by Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner playing good hockey as well. But this is a Maple Leafs team pretty much locked into the playoffs so far. They're 10 games up on the Ottawa Senators, or 10 points up on the Ottawa Senators, who have played 1 less game than them, but are the 4th place team in that division. So they've basically locked it up. The Tampa Bay Lightning, 73 games they've played. They're at 91 points. Again, I feel pretty safe about locking them into the playoffs, although nothing has been clinched yet. The Florida Panthers, also 73 games played, also 91 points. Those are your 3 teams representing the Atlantic Division. And I would put a pretty penny that all 3 of them continue to be at the top, and those are the 3 teams we see representing them. Maybe the order changes a little bit, might completely flip-flop, but I think those are the 3 teams because, like I said, the team that's chasing them on the outside looking in is those Ottawa Senators. They're sitting there right now at 84 points through 73 games. So they're 7 points back of the Panthers and the Lightning, 10 points back of the Maple Leafs. I just don't see them catching up unless some of those teams go on a real cold stretch here. But that division's basically locked up. In the Metro, you have the Washington Capitals, which is the first of 3 teams so far that have clinched a playoff spot. The Washington Capitals clinched a spot with 103 points through 73 games. They are the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference in both the Metro and the Atlantic. The closest team to them is at 94 points, which is the Maple Leafs and the Hurricanes right behind them. They've pretty much locked up first place in this division. They're not playing for anything other than the President's Trophy and Alex Ovechkin's record at this point. The Hurricanes, like I hinted at, are right behind them. 94 points through 73 games. They're not going to catch up to the Caps most likely, but they should be pretty safe in the playoff race. At number 3, 85 points is getting you into the playoff right now with the New Jersey Devils playing 75 games. That's the most games played in the NFL, tied for the most games, I should say. 85 points through 75 games. There's a couple teams right behind them, but they've got a pretty good lead. I feel pretty safe about them making it, but I'm not certain about them doing, because right behind them, you've got the New York Rangers, who through 74 games have 77 points. So they're 8 points back, 5 points back if you give them that extra win for the extra game there. But the real one to watch here is the Columbus Blue Jackets. They've played the fewest amount of games in the NHL at just 72 so far, and they're sitting at 75 points. If you give them that extra 6 points, 3 wins in those 3 games that they could potentially catch up to the Devils, they're at 81 points right now. They have a lot of room to work. That is a team to watch as we watched into the playoffs. I feel like the Caps and the Hurricanes pretty much set in the Metro, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Columbus Blue Jackets came up and took that Devils spot right from under their noses. The Devils are dealing with a lot of injuries right now, so we'll have to see. In the Western Conference, the Central Division is pretty stacked. Is another one that's pretty much set. You've got the Winnipeg Jets leading the entire league right now with 106 points. They've clinched a playoff spot. Same thing with the Dallas Stars. At 100 points, they've also clinched a playoff spot right behind the Winnipeg Jets through 73 games. The Colorado Avalanche are the last team in there. Through 74 games, they've scored a nice 93 points. The Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues are the two teams looking out, 74 and 75 games respectively. Both have 87 points. The Wild are a team to watch. Them and the Avalanche go at it. That's going to be pretty tight. But again, a 6-point lead at this point with 7 or 8 games to go for these teams, I feel like is pretty safe. You'll have to watch it though. That's going to be a tight race in the Central. The Pacific Division is where it gets kind of interesting, because this is probably the tightest division race. You've got in the Western Conference, at least, I should say. The Vegas Golden Knights at the top, 73 games played, 98 points. Then the Los Angeles Kings, 91 points through 73 games. And the Oilers from Edmonton, 73 games played, 89 points for them. The cutoff there. Another one of those teams that's only played 72 games is right behind them. The Canucks are technically ahead of them. They're at 81 points through 74 games. I don't really think they've got a shot. But the Calgary Flames, who have only played 72 games, could find their way right back into it here. They've got a lot of way to go. They're still 9 points back. You can make it 7 points if you give them that extra win, but it's going to be tight. They're the team to watch as we get further down because they have a lot more games to play. So as we're sitting right now, I think the divisions are basically locked up. I'd probably expect the Metro third place to change a little bit, maybe the Central, and potentially the Pacific. But other than that, the top 2 teams in each division pretty much set in their spot in the playoffs. Right now, only the Jets, the Stars, and the Caps have clinched them. When we take a look at the wild card in the Western Conference first, because it's not as interesting, you basically have the Wild 74 games, 87 points, and the Blues at 87 points right behind them, locked in. You've got the Canucks and the Flames, who we just finished talking about, behind them. But again, other than the Flames potentially taking one from the Blues, the Blues have played 75 games, the Flames have only played 72, so 7 points really isn't that big a deal. That's the one to watch, but I'd feel pretty confident about the Wild and the Blues making it in. I don't think the Flames have it in them to go on some kind of run here down the stretch. The Eastern Conference is super fascinating, though. Right now, you've got the Ottawa Senators, who I would say have basically locked up a spot. Unless they go cold. They didn't score a goal against the Penguins last night. That one sucks for them. They needed that one pretty badly. They did get the overtime point, though, so they didn't go home empty-handed. But the Ottawa Senators here at 84 points, I feel pretty safe about logging them into the playoffs. But that second wildcard spot in the East is a mess. The Canadiens at 77 points and only 73 games played have it locked up. The Rangers, 77 points and 74 games, are behind them. That's going to be a tight one. The Blue Jackets, 72 games, again, the one to watch, are only 2 points back of the Rangers and the Canadiens with a couple games in hand for both of them. The Red Wings at 74 points. The Islanders also at 74 points are a couple dark horse teams to watch. And the team that would really shock me if they got in was the Pittsburgh Penguins. They've played 75 games and they're still at 71 points. I just don't really see them finding a way in. Maybe they do. This is the most interesting thing to watch down the stretch in hockey. Who's going to take that Eastern wild card final spot here to play the Capitals, most likely? I'm thinking it's probably going to be the Rangers, but again, watch those Blue Jackets. They have a lot of leeway. They've only played 72 games. 9 games to go is a lot better looking at the standings than just 7 games or 8 games. That's going to mean a lot. Overall, I think I'm leaning towards the Senators and the Rangers getting in, but it sure is going to be very close down the stretch. There's a lot of big games to pay attention to, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Who do you think gets in the NHL playoffs? And who do you think wins the NHL Stanley Cup? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're going to take And thank you everybody so much for tuning in to today's episode of GSMC's Down by Contact Sports Podcast. I have been your host, Jeremy Lapidus. We will be back tomorrow talking all things sports. We're going to talk about all the major baseball action from around the world. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL owners meeting, stuff coming out of there, and much more. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go to